Hey, how are you guys? My name is Julia Webster. I graduated from Azusa Pacific's MAT Soul program in January of 2017. Since then, my steady job has been working at an intensive English school with international students, but I've also worked as an adjunct at a university. I've volunteered with a community program, and I've even been to China to teach in a couple of English camps with Chinese kids. So I've had lots of opportunities to use my degree. I'm enjoying the job. I'm enjoying my growth as a teacher. Since I finished this program, it was very, very good for me. One of the final steps to completing this program at Azusa, as you know, is of course your portfolio. When I started the program, I really had no idea of what this portfolio really entailed, and the things that I did know were wrong. So I was a bit overwhelmed, and I really just kind of focused on getting through each class as it came along. And this came back to bite me a bit when it came time to do the portfolio. So I'd like to share a couple of things that might have helped me in the process, going through the program, getting ready to do the portfolio and to do it well. And maybe take a little of the anxiety or the uncertainty out of the process for you as you go through this. So first off, your portfolio is not just a compilation of the things you've done in the program. You will be given a dozen competencies, and you need to demonstrate how you have achieved them. For each of these learning outcomes, you will be asked to reflect on the learning, how it impacted you, and then look forward to how you will apply it to your teaching practice. Then you attach examples from your classwork, the work you've done all along, to demonstrate and support your reflections and your applications, what you're going to do with this, to show that you've mastered this material. Okay. To do this well, I think the first thing to prepare now is actually just your perspective. As you progress through the program, you're going to be asked to develop your own personal philosophy of language learning and language teaching. What you believe about teaching, about students, about the world and your place in it will influence your craft. It will be reflected in your classroom and how you teach. So that's why throughout this program, you will be asked to study and reflect on a lot of different perspectives and approaches to English language teaching and its impact, so that you can develop your own philosophy and found it on good research and on facts and best practices. So by the time you get to the end, you're compiling your portfolio, you should have a good grasp of what you think about these things and how they will be reflected in you as a teacher. So in your portfolio, you will demonstrate how these beliefs are founded on facts and research and best practices and sound reasoning. If that sounds a little overwhelming right now, don't panic. That's what these classes are for. When you're done, if you've done the work, you should have this idea anyway. So the portfolio is merely reflecting hard and thinking hard about this. Of course, you'll also learn a lot of really practical knowledge and skills. You're going to cover theory about language acquisition. You're going to cover best practices in assessment and course design, how to teach grammar and pronunciation, and technology in the classroom. You'll also be asked to consider a Christian perspective on language learning, language learners. You're going to consider ethical issues in the classroom and the impact of culture on language acquisition and the classroom. And then, of course, how your faith or your worldview intersects with all of this, and how that impacts you and your identity as a teacher. Okay. In your portfolio, you're going to be asked to demonstrate that not only have you understood this material, but that you have wrestled with it in relation to your identity as a teacher. And trust me, you really can't snow anyone here. You have to do the work. You have to reflect on these things. So here's a couple of practical things that I think can help make this process work for you and help you really be prepared and get the most out of it. First off, engage. Really engage with the material for your own sake and not just for what you need to get through the class and, get your grade. Maybe keep a notebook or a journal with your random thoughts and experiences through the course and your reflections on them, how they impact you. Some of my most useful reflection material for my portfolio came not from my forum posts in the classrooms, but actually through some private emails with one of my colleagues in the cohort, as we both wrestled with some of the issues that it brought up for us from our past. And it caused me to really do a lot of thinking. And that material was really, really helpful as I engaged with it in that conversation. So take the time to do this. If self-reflection just really hasn't been your thing, start. You've got to do it well here and make this portfolio process work for you. 2, get comfortable giving and receiving feedback. This, I don't know, for a lot of us in my cohort anyway, this seemed to be one of those things that we said, I struggle with this. But you're going to have to demonstrate in your portfolio that you can do this civilly and professionally. So you got to start practicing and you got to have the info in your work to demonstrate this. If you don't feel that you can do this comfortably without possibly offending or being offended, go check out YouTube. Get some information and you can learn this. You can do this and you can get comfortable with it and it'll be okay. Besides, you'll need it for your teaching practice anyway. You've got to give feedback to students. You'll get feedback from supervisors. So it's good to get comfortable with the process right up front. Third thing, save everything. Really, everything. Type your forum posts. If you're posting, type them in Word, save them, copy, and paste. Save your edits. If you edit something, make a new document, give it a new name. One of the things that you, like I mentioned, that you do have to demonstrate is the ability to respond to feedback and correction. So if you've saved your edits and your work and your material, you can go back and show how you've changed things in response to your colleagues or your professor as they give you feedback and new information. Also, a couple of other reasons. It's super frustrating, and it happened to several of us, to spend all your time and thought writing something online and then it gets lost out in the ether there somewhere. That is so frustrating and so time consuming, and you really don't want to do that. And when it's time to build your portfolio, you're going to need some of that information. And it is such a waste of time to go back and scroll through everything trying to find something you wrote. So set up your computer, set up your file system by class, by week, however you need to do it to organize it that makes sense to you, and save everything. My 4th recommendation is sign up for a TESOL conference now at the beginning of the program. Get it out of the way. And I don't mean just that as get it done so you don't have to do it again, but make sure it happens so you're not stuck at the end scrambling for one that fits your schedule. So you need to do this to fulfill the program requirements. And it's really super helpful, actually. I was reluctant to go to my first one. I felt like a fish out of water. But it really helped me understand the language of the profession and of the discipline. It made me connect with other people. It helped me see where I might fit in the whole TESOL community. It was really super helpful. But when you go, take a folder and save all the handouts. Take notes in all the sessions. Save all that material, because when it comes time to do your portfolio, you will need to submit a conference report on that with reflections. And I found that when I first went, I didn't think hard enough about it or understand the portfolio process, and so my reflections were not adequate. Fortunately, I had saved all my notes, I had saved all my material, and then I could go back and recall and think more deeply about it in a way that was adequate to support what I was saying in my portfolio document. So do this, do it soon, and again, save everything. And finally, for the 5th thing, get to know your colleagues in the program and in your cohort. You'll be building your portfolios together. And if you've developed a strong working relationship across your classes, you'll know who you can count on for support and who will give you the best, strongest feedback for certain areas, who is strong in which classes, and they might be able to help you the most. You can really help each other a lot through this process. In fact, my cohort, some of the members of my cohort and we set up a Facebook page where we would upload different parts of our portfolio as we worked on it. And then other members, whoever was free, would review it and send back feedback for us to help. You don't want to try to do the portfolio all alone. You do want feedback. Get to know your colleagues, develop strong professional working relationships with them, and you guys can make it work better together through this process. I hope that some of that helps you feel a little bit more confident about this process, helps you feel a little bit more like you know what's coming down the pike. And honestly, look at me. The last time I was in school, we were still taking things to the computer lab on 6-inch floppy disks, okay? And then I came back to school and I did an entire electronic portfolio. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. This is, you can handle this, okay? And it's not just an exercise for your education. This work is foundational to the work you will be doing when you get out and start teaching in your own classroom if you haven't already. I found that in the 2 years since I started here, I've had so many unexpected things arise in my classroom. But because of the work I did on this portfolio, really giving thought to what I believe about teaching, what I believe about my role as a teacher, what I believe about language, what I believe about students, and the value of what I'm doing, I was able to handle each of these situations as they came up because I already had a base that I was coming from. This portfolio process is a valuable one that can really benefit you as you step out into the classroom, into the teaching environment as a teacher of English in the TESOL community. Best of luck to all of you. I know you can do it. Have fun.